And welcome back to Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets. It's The Mix, powered by Mayo Media Net here on YouTube and presented by Jock Market. Download the Daily Fantasy app for free. Use the promo code MMN. They're going to match that first $100 for free. If it's free, it's for me. Who am I? It's your host, John Laghezza at John Laghezza. How creative on the Bird app, the big dude with the big mouth from the Big Apple, Big Johnny Stud, coming to you worldwide as always from Brooklyn, New York. Thank you all for coming along this wild ride as we bring you the final show of 2022. What a ride it's been. Nuance and context literally just pouring out of our nose for the past 12 months. And I hope you've, enjoyed this wild thing of ours. Me kind of doing the one-man band thing. We're doing Jock Market and Daily plus betting and props, X's and O's, theory, analysis, application. It's just like anything else you could possibly imagine to try and make this stuff interesting. But enough of that. We need more of this. The fastest show in NFL absolutely anywhere. It's week 17. We got Cowboys. We got Titans in another just absolute slobber knocker on deck. Yeah, right. All right, let's start it as always with the blue chip stocks brought to you by Jock Market. These are the highest projected players by Run the Sims. People were getting at us on the internet. Where is this guy? Where is that guy? Blue chips are the highest projected players. They were asking about Mike Williams. He was a high projected player. He was not on the next list, which will be doing value analysis, which is always a good thing to know. Does a player rank really high? And if so, is he coming in at a value? We'll talk about that in the second pillar of profit. Let's do the blue chips on the Cowboy side. This one should not even be close. Just real quick, Cowboys appear to have locked up the 5 seed. However, if they win both games and Philadelphia loses both, Philly has the Saints and the Giants, not out of the question with Hurts out. The Cowboys could win the division, so I'm not sure. We've heard some people talk about them taking the foot off the gas. We don't know if they're going to play. The Cowboys are going to be playing for this, right? This is not a main slate. The Phillies' outcome is not in yet, so expect the Cowboys to give it their all against these Titans. Dak Prescott projected at the top, 21.5. Right below him, CD Lamb. Then you get the nice fat teardrop off to Tony Pollard, who has not practiced but is still being listed as questionable. I don't know if I'm going to get with that. Then to Dalton Schultz at 12. Love the matchup for him today. And then wrap it up with Ezekiel Elliott without Pollard. Expect him to get a ton of work. The Titans' run defense is phenomenal. We'll talk about that in a little while. Will that pass-catching work go? I mean, I'm going to have my eye on Malik Davis if Pollard is out. If not, it's probably Pollard extending the run game. Flip side to the Titans. I mean, the Titans are a disaster right now. It's really, really bad. Tannehill out. Derrick Henry out, and on the flip side, like Simmons out, and just the entire world. We'll do that when we dive into the defenses. The Titans are the most injured team right now, and they should be competing, but this is a real disaster. So it's Hassan Haskins, who is projected at 12.9, the top player in the Titans, right above the bottom player, right, of the top 5 on the Cowboys. Should give you everything you need to know. He's eye to eye with Malik Willis, who looks just awful. He does not look like a pro passer. Gosh, it was just horrific. I think he posted the lowest passing prop ever, and he didn't even come close to get it. That's Malik Willis. So this last 2 games, it was in relief of Ryan Tannehill, 20 yards and then 99 yards. Yikes. It's really, really bad. Cowboys defense has struggled as of late, but I don't think they're that bad. So then it's Treylon Burks, who's back, 6.6. Robert Woods, who probably gets bumped out of the picture with Burks back at 5.9. And then Chig Okonkwo, who, listen, I actually really like, and I think I'm taking a victory lap and a gold star because I mentioned him back in like week 7 or 8 in my speculator article for The Athletic as a player that we'd really like to pop up. The Titans had a room for him and the spot, but the quarterback play is disgusting. All right, let's dive into the defenses. This is, it could not be any different, or maybe not. All right, so let's go last 8 Tennessee Titans to start with. We know they're a bit of a run funnel, but we could put some, we could quantify that. So the Titans have allowed 69 plays and 374 yards a game. Those are both in the bottom 5. Let's get to, right, think about that. They're in the bottom 5 with an excellent run D. Tell you how bad the pass defense has been. So this is last 8 Tennessee Titans run defense. 0.17 rush EPA per snap, top 5, 72 yards a game, top 3, 2.97 yards per rush, top 2, 0.76 yards before contact per rush, top 3, only one 20-yard rush allowed in the last 8 weeks. Hachi, Machi, Liberace. Last 4 for the run D is the same. 68 yards a game, 2.6 per rush, 0.60 before contact per rush, 0 20-yard rushes. Tennessee Titan defense is ridiculous on the ground, so it gets funneled to the pass. Pass defense, last 8, 43 attempts, 27 completions for more than 300 yards per game over the last 8, 11.6 yards per reception, 34 20-yard completions. That's worst in the league, 12 touchdowns. Yikes. Zoom on just a touch. Last 4, again, we are bringing the smoke here. Nuance, context at the center of all of my work. And if you appreciate it, rate, review, and subscribe to the audio-only pod. I forgot to ask, well, sometimes I want to bring the heat first, and when you're like, wow, this guy's kind of nuts, yo, we're defining this dude. Let me give him a cartoon finger, because that stuff matters more than it should. Last 4 for the Tennessee Titans through the air, minus 0.18 EPA per dropback. Bottom 5, 100 passer rating opposing. Bottom 5, 68% completion. 27 completions for 315 yards a game. Those are both bottom 2, 12 yards per reception. 19 20 yards completions. That's also either dead last or bottom 2. Sorry, I'm not so much into rankings as I'm conditional formatting. I think it's more important to know where it falls. Again, there's like bell curve stuff where the belly of it is. But anyway, Titans pass funnel is legit, right? It's not cherry picked. It's something we've seen for the entire year. Let's do the Cowboys. On the season, it looks pretty good, right? We're going to zoom all the way out for the Cowboys. The pass defense, top 8 in EPA per dropback. Opposed passer rating, yards per game is 202 yards per game. Only 35 20-yard completions. That's top 5 for the Cowboys. But the more you zoom in, the more the injuries have taken over. We see it hit that middle spot last 4, and now it's gotten last 8, it's gotten bad last 4. The Cowboys defense probably reflecting the Titans just a touch, very strong against the run, 4 yards per rush, 1.02 yards before contact per rush, only 2 20-yard rushes and 2 rushing touchdowns last 4. However, the pass defense has been really bad. They're funneling it against the secondary, 36 attempts, 23 completions, 271 yards against, 12.2 yards per reception, 15 20 yards completions, and 9 touchdowns. The only thing is the Cowboys do have 13 interceptions. Keep that in mind with Malik Willis, who's very bad at protecting the ball, very bad at checking that defense. We have a couple minutes here. Let's do the last 4 for Tennessee, what we might expect. They play a ton of too high man, right? That shell that we've talked about, that kind of, I don't want to call it prevent, but probably for the newer listeners, it's the easiest way to understand the right. Some just a little bit of the X's and O's. When you hear about the too high shell, you're talking about having 2 DBs, right, defensive backs, playing way off the ball, 20 yards, 25 yards off the ball, trying to disallow the long completions, but it hasn't even worked. So they're pairing it with man up front. Those numbers, Tennessee Titans last 4, 26% man coverage, 32% too high. Those are both near the top of the board, and they're using a combination, right? So you're getting like a too high, 2-man underneath, and then the zone behind it. And again, it really hasn't worked. They are extremely injured. I mentioned that. You have to see this to believe it. It's really something. So again, just for people, I know I get a lot of people ask me, like, how do you break down this stuff down? When do you get all this information? Like, I know that for a fact, objectively, like, I'm bringing more data than most people, and that's a 2-man team and a 3-man team, and like me and the producer. Hat tip to my boy Xavier and Cam and Matt. We love you, yo. You guys are really taking me, who's not that good, and making it look a lot better than it should. We like to look at the practice report. I use RW. Then we want to look at the and then the injury report, right? So it's practice report, injury report. Sorry, I had to stammer there for a second. Practice report for the Titans. Okay, we've got Dylan Cole, linebacker, did not practice. Zach Cunningham, linebacker, did not practice. Bud Dupree, linebacker, did not practice. Christian Fulton, limited practice, but he's doubtful. Derrick Henry, limited practice, but he's doubtful. Amani Hooker, safety, did not practice, he's out. Petit Frere, offensive tackle, did not practice, he's out. Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle, did not practice, he's out. Ryan Tannehill, did not practice, defensive, out. And Josh Thompson as well. And that's just a practice report. Remember, the injury report is guys that are already out. So it's just ridiculous. This is all from mid-December. Jonathan Hawkins, Terrence Steele. I'm sorry, wrong side. That is the Cowboys. Sorry, see, I get a little bit ahead of myself. These things happen when you're banging the drum and blowing the kazoo and all that other stuff that I tend to do. All right, Tennessee Titans. Knew it didn't look right. It didn't look long enough. From December 17th, Dontrell Hilliard, C.J. Board, Rad News, the offensive tackle, Terrence Mitchell, the cornerback, Ben Jones, the center, Nate Davis, the guard. Those are all injured reserve with Kyle Phillips, wide receiver. Tannehill, we mentioned, is out. Simmons. I mean, it is just absolutely ridiculous. And like I mentioned, Fulton, though limited, did get the doubtful tag. Same for Danico Autry, defensive end, is awful, doubtful with the bicep. The Tennessee Titans are absolutely decimated. I have no idea how they plan to do anything against the Cowboys on a defensive end. I think the Cowboys just go absolutely bananas. The Titans' run scheme is still really, really good. And with Pollard down, I think you'll get a good dose of Zeke. I just don't think he's going to do much. He's also not very efficient, and he doesn't really catch the ball much. So I think as far as blue chips go, Zeke is probably pretty limited. Again, we're hearing people talk about Dallas kind of not take this game seriously and not look for too much. I'm looking at this Dallas offense. The past few games, like off the bye, they've just been awesome. Dak's gone over 255 yards in every game but one against Indianapolis, where they had that crazy blowout, right? And he's no need to throw, right? I think they hung 54 points in that game. So Cowboys at the top, to me, it is the pass game. Give me Prescott, give me Lamb. I also really like Schultz. I did mention Tennessee plays a lot of man coverage. Remember, if you've been following this program, then you know when Dallas faces man, he also looks to Gallup. So I'd have Gallup as the tertiary piece, right, over, let's say, Noah Brown. That's where you kind of gets a little mishmash, right, where that's going to go. And then we saw, what's his face, T.Y. Hilton, right? I'm not expecting much of that or anything. Although, again, the splash play is always in the cards. But for me, blue chips, it's Prescott, it's Lamb, it's Schultz. I'd like to get with Malik Davis, almost maybe regardless, even if Pollard plays. Maybe we can take advantage of both narratives, right? Dallas playing and looking to get ahead. That doesn't mean they're going to risk a good player. If Dallas gets ahead a score or two, I think you expect to not see much of Pollard. If at first Tennessee manages to score, muff punt early on the board, Zeke is getting jammed up, maybe you will see Pollard in a limited effect catching some passes. But because of the Q tag and I'm not practicing, I don't think I'm going to go there. Keep Malik Davis in mind. Flip side, Titans, I don't think they have a blue chip player here. I just don't, right? I don't think so. Sometimes we talk about, oh, the run back. It's not critical, right? If you think the game's going to be an absolute blowout, I think this is an absolute blowout. I very rarely call for that, right? I'm the guy talking about every NFL game is generally closer to 50-50 than we'd like to admit, regardless of the silly odds we get sometimes, right? I make my money betting underdogs in general. This, to me, is a boat race. It's going to be out of hand really quick. I think the public tends to look at some recency data, right? Dallas defense is falling apart. Well, you have to be able to do something against it, right? So, yes, Dallas has gotten touched up, but against quality, right? So even in order to take care of a wounded animal, right, you need teeth, to do that. So I'm just not sure. Minshew and Lawrence have both been playing excellent, and they, hit you with the ceiling game. Matt Ryan is not very good, give you 233. Daniel Jones is just okay, give you 230. Right, so they're kind of going along with the quality, but when you get passing offenses, they've been able to get at them. I just don't think Tennessee has that, right? So you can get it, Dallas. I just don't think Tennessee has it. So boom, that will do it. There are your blue chips. Give me all the Cowboys. Give me none of the Titans. I think this one is just an absolute disaster. So now that we are across the half-field mark, I got some granular pass-catching data, some other stuff. Let's do our cost-value analysis. But first, a big breath for the big dude. All right, second pillar of profit. It's our penny stock section brought to you by Jock Market. Love that. Download the app, rate, review, and subscribe to all our stuff because it matters more than it should. I don't know what happened the other day. I caught some funk for not having Mike Williams on the sheet. I'm sorry. This is math, people. Remember, this is a cost analysis section. We're using Run the Sims projection. We're also using the given DK salary to come up with an objective cost per point. If your favorite player is not on here, it's just a math thing. Don't yell at me. 2 QBs, 3 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and a tight end. Again, audio-only listeners, feel free to jump over to YouTube. Feel free to jump over to Twitter. You get all this. The graphics, of course, are free. You can thank Patty Mayo, tag him, and let him know how good of a job we're doing. This one is just a pure disaster. And also for my Jock Market people, this is a short opportunity. Okay, no one else is kind of bringing the smoke like this as far as this amalgamation of DK and Jock Market. Let's dive right into it. You'll see what I mean. Dak Prescott, 21.6 projection, 10.6 salary, the cost per point at 491. Malik Willis, 12.4 projection, 8.6 salary, cost per point, 694. What's it mean? Well, our favorite lesson means value is a rate stat, and just because something is cheaper doesn't make it a better value. Give me Prescott by a mile. The thing I wanted to bring your attention to is, again, the IPOs, right? So this is why we stick out here at Mayo Media and well, I stick out for more than a few reasons, but one of the reasons I stick out is because, you know, I'm going to go do that work, put all the chips on the table, and help that make our decision. And where I'm going again, Malik Willis has a better than $10 projected IPO. Now, that's always to be expected because he's a quarterback and handles the ball a lot. However, Jock Market, you got to finish, you know, in the top 4, I think, to profit on that. I'm shorting Malik Willis today. There's a chance he does absolutely nothing. Right, we saw that. We've seen this movie already once before, so it's not like it's out of the question. It was also against a Texans defense, which is not that good. Yes, they've played ferocious as of late, right? We want to give them that. They're making splash plays. They're doing some nice things. The effort level is through the roof. However, they turned over Willis twice. He threw for less than 100 yards, ran 7 times for 43. Yes, he got into the end zone, but again, that's a Texans run defense that is extremely poor. There is a chance the Dallas Cowboys just wipe the absolute floor with this guy. You know, yeah, they have an injury in the secondary, but they're healthy up front. I think Dallas just dominates at the point of attack. If Malik Willis is at $10, you bet your bottom dollar I'll be shorting him today. And now, quick note on that. If you do want to short, it's tough for the newer players because you have to pay out. Meaning for every share you want to short, you have to lay out the $25 to short him, right? So the assumption is he finishes as the top play. So don't be nervous when you see that come out of the account. But then as he does not produce, hopefully, right, that number goes down. So, again, if Malik Willis finishes at the bottom, he does nothing, you know, there's a pathway to just absolutely crush, right? If you short him at $10 and he finishes at 2, you destroyed that tree. All right, let's get into the running backs again. This is really kind of nothing to do here. Hassan Haskins, projected for 13 points purely on volume at $3,000 salary, makes him a must-play, 233 cost per point. His projection ownership at 64 is probably a little bit low, but again, you got to get with him, right? So I don't think in showdowns they allow you to go with purely one team. You go with Haskins, he's going to touch the ball. Again, the salary allows you to get with all of the Cowboys and go play for that. Allow not just to play for like the 42-0 game, but allow you to play with the backups as well, right? Get Haskins, get Malik Davis in there, and then, you know, like a what's a Pender shot, you know, one of those guys. Like, I'd rather go that way. I'd rather my IPO portfolio, my Jock Market portfolio, reflect backup Cowboys than Titans. That's how far down I am them. You know, we mentioned Pollard and Zeke projected similarly, salary similarly, because we don't know exactly how it's going to shake out. We've seen them both just really be fantasy viable pretty much the entire season, you know, and that's a really great spot for them when you're knowing that going into the game they're both going to get north of 15 touches. I'm just, again, worried about Pollard. They're leaning like he's going to play. You know, it's questionable, but it's DNP. Makes it a little tough for me to chalk him in for playing. Again, the Cowboys know this game is very important. They also know Zeke is probably going to struggle between the tackles. Maybe it's a juke move. I don't know. So I'm going to have a hard time paying for Pollard. And if you'll notice, the IPO, I double-checked this. His IPO is coming in at 4 and change. The market's expectation is he's not going to play, regardless of the Q tag. Replace that for Malik Davis, if anything. And I have a tough time with Elliott, but you can't really short him because he's a pop for a touchdown, right? He's still efficient with the 3 yards. You need 3, he gets you 3. You need 5, he gets you 3. You need 1 to get you 3. So it's Elliott on usage, Haskins on usage. Pollard, I'm probably fading as far as the running back room, and then I really like Malik Davis. I know I keep mentioning him, but again, he's like the pass-catching guy, so we could see him catch passes out of the backfield. Let's do some pass-catching stuff. These are the names, and then we'll do some of the stats that I know everybody loves so very, very, very much. At the top, it's CeeDee Lamb, the best receiver, also known as the best value. So what's that mean? You chalk him up as a captain, right? It's not my opinion. I'm just translating projections. If a player is at the top of the blue chip section and also at the top of the penny stock section, meaning he has the best chance of being the top producer, but then also clearing a best value, you put Lamb in the captain. That's the best way to do it without having to, you know, listen to me. We can get that at the end. Why listening to me has not been that great, man. Me trying to single out props has been an absolute, unmitigated disasterino, but I mean, that's part of the game. It's just kind of what it is. Trust me, I want to win. We don't control that stuff. So, Lamb at 19.4, Brown at 8.5, and Gallup 10.2. Gallup projected higher than Brown, which I expect. I do like him. Their cost per point coming in similar. So since I mentioned Gallup's usage against man, I've got that right here. I know we didn't do it. This is with Dak Prescott versus man coverage. CeeDee Lamb, 18 targets, that's 26% target per route, 13 for 236 and 1, 6 explosive receptions. Keep that in mind. So it's CDL by a mile. When Dak identifies man, that's where he wants to go. But right after that, it's Gallup with 17 targets. They're equal, 26% target per run. So not only is the target equal, the rate is also equal, 9 for 89 and 1. Down to Brown, 10 targets, 19% target per route. 433 and 1, very similar to Schultz. All right, Spider-Man GIF, 10 targets, 19% target per route run, 9 for 90 and 1. The one thing that Schultz has going for him, so you can see him at the bottom there, is Tennessee has really struggled defending tight ends. Right, they're kind of getting caught in the middle. They press so hard in the front to get the run with all this kind of creative movement, it leaves spaces underneath, right? And then they have the two high shells. So think of Tennessee, the Oreo cookie, right? They're strong in the cookies, they're weak in the cream. I don't know if anyone's ever used that analogy before for defenses, but that's where Schultz is going to sit, right in that cream filling. Tennessee defense, bottom 4 against tight ends year to date, 87 catches for 10, 43, and 6. Wow, tight end 1 Pro Bowler against Tennessee. They've allowed also the most tight end targets, that's at 124. 12 different tight ends have gone over. I wanted to put 40 yards because that's what but it's 30 yards. So 12 tight ends over 39 yards. It's funny how this is going to matter. Schultz has gone over 40 in 5 of 9. I actually found his prop below that at 38.5. That's a teaser for the last section. Back into the cost stuff. So for values, let's put the bow on it and then do some catching stats. Prescott over Willis, shorting Willis. Haskins for opportunity. Zeke for touchdown equity. Pollard, I think I got to get away from. I'm worried. Even if he plays, he doesn't hang in long enough. I like Malik Davis. CeeDee Lamb, greater than sign. He's my captain. I'm fading Noah Brown at my own, risk to get with Michael Gallup as my tertiary piece with Dalton Schultz fading Burks, fading Woods, getting away from all the Titans. But to Burks and Woods, you'll see the IPO at 435. They're viable in Jock market. The cost per point may not make it palatable for DK, but 435 IPO for a guy like Burks that could tear it and become the focal point of the target share of whatever limited amount of passing that they do. I'd be getting away from Woods with Burks back altogether. Schultz, again, we really, really like. $9 IPO, not so sure. So that's like a little bit of how, we come to these determinations. Some shows, I like Schultz. Well, it's not that easy. We're talking about multiple games. What do you like him for? And I'm trying not to cop out. And I think that's why I take so many L's, because I'm so direct in my analysis. And I recommend people do the same, right? Especially as a bettor. As a bettor, you have to be sure. As a Jock market player, you can be a little less certain, build a portfolio, change your leverage depending on the play. And in DK, if you're going to mass enter, you kind of just make up all your narratives. And that's why people enjoy it so much, right? It gives you so many different outs. So I got another minute. Let's blow through some pass catching stuff. This is the last month. What you'd expect from Dallas. CeeDee Lamb at the very, very top, leading the way in targets with 31, leading the way in catches. He has almost twice as many catches as anyone else at 27, 350 yards, more than double anyone else, and 3 touchdowns. So it's CeeDee Lamb's world, absolutely. 8 targets a game, 88 yards per game, just blowing it up. 2.4 yards per route run, 23 team target, 24 team air, everything that you want to see. And now we're getting him mixed into the slot. They did that against Philadelphia. So as Dallas gets more comfortable using CeeDee in the slot, making him it's almost like a Cooper Kupp type of role, right? Like a pseudo Cooper Kupp role. It's CeeDee Lamb to the absolute moon. After that, it's Dalton Schultz. That's why you always want to be looking at him. 6 targets a game, 44 yards a game, 1.34 yards per route run. Right behind CeeDee Lamb, really across the board, 18 team target, 22 team air. Then after that becomes the mishmash where Gallup, Pollard, Noah Brown, all very, very similar as far as targets, reception, receiving yards, or just everything that we look for. Team target all between 16 and 17. Target per run all between 20 and 22. 19 and 22. So all really, really, really close. So I have found it's probably a zone man thing. When we get to man, I think Dak likes Gallup's ability to win one-on-one. When it's zone, maybe Brown is a bit higher IQ, right? Knows where to sit. Not about smarter. I mean, I hate to make it sound like that. It's not like he's smarter than player B. It's more of a cerebral thing, defeating a zone, knowing exactly where to sit, right? The play might tell you here, X coordinate, but the real true answer might be a little bit off. And then it becomes that symbiosis between pass catcher and quarterback, knowing how to defeat the zone, right? So that's why zone relationships really, really matter. I think Schultz gets the leg up there. And again, when you're getting 30% man, you're going to be seeing zone. So it's not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I do like Gallup because he's always a little bit sneaky against man. And I am going to stick with my bald boy Schultz. On the flip side, Tennessee, it's been all Robert Woods, but they have had injuries. Hooper, I believe, is back this time around. And with him, he's just going to soak up everything that people want from Chig and Hooper. It's been a Spider-Man meme. Both of them over the last 4, exactly 4.5 targets per game. 3 and change receptions per game. Between 36 and 44 receiving yards per game. Between 22 and 24 targets per route run. Chig has the better yards per route run because he's got the much better yak ability, but it's really, really gross for the Titans. It had been, again, Woods, 5 targets a game, but only 24 yards a game. Then Hooper, I mean, again, Burks not on the list here because of the injury, so it can become tough again, without splitting these things a million different ways to where it's going to go. And then we had games with Tannehill, so you have to throw that out as well, who not is exactly this elite precision passer, but maybe next to Malik he is. So I feel like I've given you every reason to just run from the Titans, decimated with injuries, really tough quarterback situation, missing the all-pro running back. I mean, this one to me is just an absolute boat race. I haven't bet a double-digit spread yet this year, and this really might be the one. I'm just not seeing it. I think people are erroneously tagging Dallas as a struggling defense. They've played really good offenses and had some injuries that just collided improperly for them, right? It was just the poorest of lineups, right? If you're missing cover guys, you don't want to be facing the Eagles, even if they're missing Hurts. Minshew, the rock and roller, right? He's going to throw it. He's going to challenge you. So I don't think the Titans are going to get it. So if you're telling me the pathway for Dallas to get blown up is, Malik Willis just lighting them up outside the numbers, I'm going to let you chase that narrative. I don't want that one. Boom. Rate, review, and subscribe. Those are the penny stocks. All the values you can stomach, baby. Don't forget my boy Malik Davis. Today we are in the green zone. Let's get the ball to the goal line, get my big old arse in the end zone so I can start dancing, do my Happy New Year dance. But first, before I got this prop for you, let me just catch my breath, and I think I gotta rip off a nice sneeze that I've been holding, man. Yes, I'm looking out for you. I saved you that bad boy. All right, let's wrap it up strong. Third pillar of profit. I tell you, there is nothing like ripping off data while your nose is itching. You're trying not to cough. Remember, before I began bringing people what I hope is the best content ever, I'm just a total sponge. I really like to know everything that's going on out there, how people are approaching it, if they're doing things I'm doing differently, or maybe opening my eyes to something I might be doing wrong. And I know I'm a bit, I hated that. The sniffling, the coughing, the breathing. Again, one of the things I've pushed to the fore is controlling my breathing. And for people that have asked me about content stuff, great way to practice while you're reading to your kids. You learn not to do that. I didn't want to do it to you. You just want to avoid that stuff. Remember, there is an entertainment level to this. All right, let's get it. Thursday night foosball props. My gosh. My prop tickets have been absolutely decimated. The win-loss percentage is despicable. It's funny because we're only down my Patreon page. You can follow it all. And again, I really like to think I bring the value. It's worth money, although it's free. So I hope I'm not shilling for something free. I bring all the data. So all the data that I present here, you are free to go get it on Twitter or my Patreon page. It's all free. Direct links right to it. All the stuff you're hearing. Advanced data for offense, defense, pass catching, and the like. Gosh, the props I've picked have just been awful. If you're listening to the show, this is really my favorite part of it, not losing. But hearing back from people saying, Johnny, the analysis is the best in the game. I took it and played this. I took it and played this. I took it and played this. Did all this winning, and your play lost. And it's like, the last show is a perfect example. We mentioned interceptions for both quarterbacks. Got them both. We mentioned The team total under, got it. The Eckler, we missed. And again, it was like, oh, I'm perfect. And no, Eckler, we missed the total yards. And I had put Gerald Everett, who for the first time in his life, doesn't get a target, doesn't catch a pass. I could not believe it in that Charger game. And again, these things happen. I burn myself sometimes trying to be too granular. And I think it's probably what makes a lot more sense in football to draw up a more robust ticket, but that doesn't mean risk more, right? It's like, oh, the way to gambling and winning success is to bet 10 times what you used to. No. If you're going to bet 10, you continue. If you're comfortable and smart betting 10, you continue to bet 10. But maybe it's 5 bets at $2 rather than 1 bet at $10 and give yourself the opportunity to profit as a whole, right? Because that's what it's come down to. I try and boil these things down to my favorite play, but it becomes like win or lose, and now these things are a coin flip. And if you miss 5 or 6 in a row, you look like a shtanad, you look like you don't know what you're talking about, and it look like I'm leading people into the flames. It's just not the case, man. I don't just pick these things out of a hat. I present all the data. So let's get into it. We mentioned it. I got Dak Prescott over 235.5. This one feels like the market is expecting Dallas to take their foot off the brake. Okay, 235.5 from week 8. 250, 265, 276, 261. 4 in a row. 170 floor game against Indianapolis. Weird game script. Then 284, 256, 347. Dak has gone over this number every single game. That's 7 out of 8 against one of the poorest pass defenses in the league. We mentioned those numbers. 315 yards allowed per game last 4. Give me Dak Prescott over 235.5. I'm telling you, I'm just not seeing this where they sit Dak Prescott in a game where if they win out, they might win the division without Philadelphia's results given. Again, I think Philadelphia beats the Saints. I'm not sure it's that. I know people laugh at the Giants. They're joke. The Giants are going to mop the floor at the Colts this week. I don't know. Again, I just think it's closer than you think. I don't think we could speak for 2 games in a row for Philadelphia where Dallas can say, whatever, I'm going to sit Prescott. I think he goes well north of 235.5 today. Again, Tennessee having a habit of frustrating people between the tackles, and maybe the pass game is a screen game even. So give me Dak Prescott over 235, and then also Dalton Schultz over 38.5. It just goes over every week. So in that same time frame, right, we're looking for 38.5. This is back to week 7 after the return. 49, check. 74, check. 54, check. 22, 31, 33, 3 in a row, not any good. Then 87 and 43 with another floor game in the middle. So we've seen it, and I think we get it today. The tight end matchup again is very good. Tennessee has really struggled against tight ends, and it's everything. It's it's on the season. They're bottom 3 in fantasy points allowed, 87 for 10, 43, and 6. I mentioned that. Last 4, 38 for 3, 85 and 2. They're second worst, right? 31st worst against the tight end position. So I think Schultz has some work coming to him. He's the 3rd read against the man. He's one of the top reads against the zone, and I think he'll be pushed to the 4 as the running game gets stunted. So give me Prescott over 235, Dalton Schultz over 38.5, and that will do it. Thanks so much for picking up what we're putting down. Please download the Jock Market app. Use the promo code MMN because it lets them know that we're sending you to them. I don't know, rate, review, and subscribe, whatever. Get up in the comments. Tag Patty on Twitter. It's the last show of 2022. And hopefully not the last show of the season. I'm not really sure. And that's how these things go. So if you love this show and want more of it, here is your chance. Get up on Twitter. Get up in the comments. Rate 5-star review and say, hey, that crazy man yelling at his computer is super duper helpful. That he goes and wakes up before the crack of dawn every damn day to bring us the, stats, the X's and O's and everything that you're getting here with the bag of chips. So again, thanks so much for picking up what we're putting down. We really, really do appreciate your time. That's something that I do not joke around about. We got one, go around on the carousel. Every minute is very precious, and I like to think that the ones you spend with me, you feel like I've prepared you for, right? Preparing for. So enjoy the game. Enjoy your day when we're done with the book. Enjoy that pay. Remember, everybody, when you work this hard, it feels a lot less like luck. Happy New Year. Do not drive when you drink. If you are that poor, I will Venmo you cab money. Please do not drive drunk. It is so ridiculously stupid. New Year's Eve is amateur night. I was a party animal growing up. I used to take pride in like not going nuts on New Year's Eve because I always felt like that's when all the fugazis are out there, acting the fool, not knowing how to act, not knowing how to handle their liquor. Do not put yourself, your friends, or your family at risk because that's really what matters. All right, everybody. In case this is the last show, love you very, very much. Follow me up on Twitter. Hit me up. I make time for you. We got baseball coming up right around the corner. The fantasy baseball prep is coming. The rankings are on the way. And I'll be covering NFL playoffs no matter what. Hop on the Patreon page. Grab all that cool data. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe.